CORNWALL CLUB on Coast FM. Whoop, whoop. Hello, good evening. It's me, Ben. Very warm welcome back to CORNWALL CLUB. Thank you very much for being here. Hope you're all right. Hope you haven't missed me too much in the week that it's been. I'm sure you have, just a bit. Another packed out show for you tonight. So if you've just joined us, allow me to run through who you will be hearing from this show. And as always, all of these special guests will be dropping some tunes as well. Now, if you'd like to add to the playlist, as always, you can contact me on cornwallclubradio@gmail.com. But that's enough chat. Let's introduce the special guests. First of all, we have got the fantastic Paul Rankin, celebrity chef, best known for his appearances on Ready Steady Cook. You might have seen him on there. A bit of a background to Chef Rankin. He's a bit of a legend. He actually had a huge impact on developing culinary excellence in Northern Ireland when he opened Roscoff, the restaurant that was to become the first to win a Michelin star in the country. Absolutely fantastic. He's got his own range of food these days called the Rankin Selection. He's going to be talking a little bit about vegan cooking. Of course, veganuary is a big movement these days, which is awesome. And yeah, he's going to be hopefully helping to get us in the mood for a bit of vegan cooking. So if you have been considering trying veganuary, or perhaps just trying to go vegan or vegetarian anyway, hopefully Chef Rankin will be here to give you a hand with that. A couple of doctors as well on the show tonight. Returning of the fantastic Dr. Sarah Jarvis. Sarah, so pleased that you could join us again. She's been on the show with us a few times recently, so really pleased to have her back. She's going to be talking today about some mental health services that the NHS has released and is advertising at the moment. So that should be really interesting. So stay tuned to hear all about that. Dr. Jarvis and Dr. Bodalia. Now, this is Dr. Bodalia's first time on the show, and I'm really pleased about this. He's a fantastic man. So not only is he a frontline NHS doctor working on COVID wards at the moment, so I can imagine that's very difficult indeed. But he's also been moonlighting as a DJ. Yeah, seriously. So he's created a session he calls the NH Sessions. See what he did? Pretty awesome, isn't it? And he's been doing that since the very start of the pandemic, and that's been going really well. And actually, recently he's released his own track, which is an awesome tune. We're going to play it on the show. Actually, we'll play that for you. He's released his own track, and he's actually just announced that he's going on tour with Fatboy Slim. How cool is that? So yeah, Doctor/DJ Dr. Bodalia will be on the show. He's going to be talking about booster jabs for young people today. So, Dr. Bodalia, very warm welcome to you, sir. Do hope we can get you again, like Dr. Sarah Jarvis. But for now, I think you know what. Let's just kick straight off, shall we? It's probably enough for me for now, isn't it? You're probably a bit sick of my voice already, aren't you? Well, I'll give you a break. Let's get as promised. Let's get Chef Rankin on the show. This is Paul Rankin, ladies and gents. Very warm welcome to the show to Paul. CORNWALL CLUB on Coast FM. Oh, hi, Paul. How are you doing, sir? You okay? Thanks very much for being on the show today.
Not too bad. I'm just looking at your name and saying that if you do it with a Northern Irish accent, it could get very confusing.
Yeah,
I've been making radio. I've been making radio.
It's not bad, is it? It's quite a fitting name, I think. Then in that case.
Yeah, it's very. Yeah. There was a joke I heard on Twitter the other day that not many people know that Max Verstappen's brother Hank is a taxi driver in Belfast. Hank's Verstappen. Thanks for stopping. Thanks for stopping.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. That works so well, doesn't it? Well, yeah, I mean, and today we're definitely making some radio. So, Paul, thanks to you for that, really.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm gonna say to you as well, just at the start, because this question can be a bit mean if I just fire it on people. So I thought I'd give you a tiny bit of warning because then you can be thinking about it. But I just thought it was a very special, small thank you. I'm going to say, if you've got any favourite songs, I'm going to play them on the show if that's all right with you. You know, if that's something I can do for you, just think about a favourite song and I'll spin it. If that's, you know, we'll see. I'll leave that up to you.
Do you want to upbeat or do you want it whatever?
Whatever you want, honestly. It's you're the special guest today, Paul. It's all about you. So whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm really pleased that we've got you to talk. Hopefully to help our listeners with their efforts to go vegan or to try out going vegan. Because I've got some of the research in front of me here. Actually, I know kind of from my own experience as well, thinking about trying this. Because actually, I must admit, I eat far too much meat in general. So I think anything that I could do to cut that down is going to be a good thing. I mean, I'm just really pleased that we can have a chef like yourself to hopefully help us with that. I mean, is this something that you've kind of been doing a lot of yourself as well?
Well, I've been sort of kidnapped by vegetarians for the last 30 years. So my first wife, Jeannie, was a vegetarian, and therefore the kids were brought up pretty much like vegetarians. So I sort of had to toe the line the way many dads have to toe the line when they're outnumbered. And I've grown to love it and enjoy it over the years, and think of it as a gift rather than any sort of chore.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I don't know. I mean, obviously, from your own perspective, this would be really interesting to hear about. But because I've heard someone else say this to me, one of my friends, and their argument actually, and I thought actually that's a very good point. Was, well, what flavors do you actually like in the cooking? Because you're probably thinking of things that aren't meat, right? So it's things like, I don't know, garlic and things like this. I mean, it's all kind of vegan things anyway that are giving it the flavour. That was their argument. So I thought that'd be interesting to hear from a chef's perspective. What if that's got any truth in it?
Well, I'm not sure that is the case. I mean, sure, yeah, there's always a lot of flavors that are transferable between meat and vegetables.
Sure.
And yes, quite often it's the plant kingdom that's adding most of that. But I think the difficult thing that people have about veganuary or eating vegetarian food is often they miss things, or they miss the richness
yes.
of what they think is the satisfaction in the meal, like the beef, etc. So in this survey that Co-op did, they said that they found out that nearly 2/3 of the population couldn't even imagine trying veganuary because they have this fear of not having this stuff that they like, things
yes.
like their Sunday roast and their fish and chips and things like that. But I really think part of what they're saying is that I don't know how to get the satisfaction into the vegetarian food. And for me, that's things like pulses, tasty pulses, not bland pulses, and things like potatoes and squashes and pumpkins and perhaps vegetarian cheeses, etc. I spent a year in India many, many moons ago, and I ate vegetarian for a year, and I never once missed, well, that's probably a fib, I maybe missed meat a little bit, but very little, because the food was so well balanced and so tasty.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just because, perhaps, in this country we're kind of not really, perhaps a lot of us aren't really used to cooking with anything other than meat. I mean, I guess traditionally we always kind of saw meat as, that was the kind of main focus of the meal, and then the veg would be like a side or whatever, whereas I guess that's just shifting that perspective a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, but things are changing a lot with the sort of plant-based meat alternatives. So, for example, those things I mentioned earlier, like your roast and your bangers and mash and your fish and chips and stuff, now people like Co-op who did that survey do vegan versions of those favorites kind of dishes kind of thing. And so, if you want that kind of meat experience, but you want to go plant-based, there's an alternative for you. But what I'd be saying as a chef is try to learn how to cook at least one or two fresh vegetarian dishes that you like. And it might just be a vegetable curry, something like a spicy potato and chickpea curry and learn how to make some naan, or buy your favorite naan and learn how to cook some rice, that sort of stuff. Just something that when you eat it, you go, you know what, on a Thursday night, I have absolutely no bother eating that potato and chickpea curry as my main meal. I love that, you know. So get your feet wet and do a bit of scratch cooking.
Yeah, I wonder if there's, I mean, I might be doing people a bit of a disservice here, but I wonder whether, you know, people being a bit worried about, you know, giving up meat in their meals, I wonder if it's kind of linked to a kind of lack of, you know, in-depth kind of cooking knowledge and being able to cook from scratch. Because presumably if you can cook from scratch and you know a few, you know, really nice recipes, you can get away with, you know, in your mind, you can get away quite easily without having that meat that you're used to, because it's not an essential kind of ingredient in that meal, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a certain amount of truth in that. I think one of the things that used to be a factor also was that perhaps if you're doing that in a family environment, people didn't want to end up cooking 2 meals. So
yeah, sure.
Maybe there was no way. Maybe Dad was going to leave the family if we didn't get his bangers and mash and baked beans on a Thursday night, you know. But you know, one of the good things I think about this sort of vegetarian, the plant-based movement, things like veganuary, is I think it's making us more open-minded. I think that's a really important thing in life, is to try and stay open-minded, to try and stay curious to how life might be a little bit different from or can be a little bit different, and it might be better, it might be worse, but to stay fresh and stay open-minded, I think, is quite important. So give it a little try, you know, have a go, even if you just eat vegan vegetarian vegan for a day or a week. You know, you don't need to do the whole big veganuary challenge type of thing, you know. It's for me, it's just for the love of food, you know. I love just really good fresh food, and I found that adding more vegetables and plant-based things into my diet, I feel lighter and fresher and brighter. So that would be my reason for and plus just for the love of tasty vegetables, yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's kind of like flipping that, you know, that kind of fear of missing out of your kind of meat dishes. Well, if you turn that on its head for a second, how do you know you're not missing out on kind of all these other delicious flavours that you might, you know, if you kind of make that switch, you might suddenly think, oh, well, you know, I was missing out on all these flavours before, and I wouldn't want to go back because then I miss out on these, if that makes sense. Turning it on its head a little bit.
Yeah, I think we need to be very careful in life about conditioned thinking in many aspects of life. You know, there's an awful lot of people out there trying to influence our thinking all the time, whether it's to do with cars or politics or cigarettes or alcohol or whatever. And that sort of conditioned thinking, I think, is quite a dangerous thing. So I think it's important to be open-minded and curious.
Yeah. I think it's a good philosophy to kind of live by, isn't it? Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you, Paul. Obviously, I'm aware of your time. I won't keep you for massively much longer. But I'll just, I guess, heading towards closing up, I'd really like to do a couple of things if that's all right. First of all, just really to give you the kind of chance to return to any kind of key points if you wanted to, or reiterate anything, or indeed point listeners in the direction of a bit more information. Anything like that would be very, very welcome indeed. And then secondly, it's your promised song request. So if you would like one, chuck that in there as well.
My favourite song, I think, driving song, is LA Woman by The Doors.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I know, but it's such an amazing song. If you want something more mellow, one of my karaoke songs is James Taylor's Fire and Rain, so you can take your pick.
Oh, love it. You know, I'm tempted to do both, to be honest. Yeah, they're both wicked. I haven't heard The Doors in far too long, actually. Yeah, that's a great shout. Nice.
Yeah, what I love about LA Woman is how it just moseys along. It's almost like 3 songs in one, you know. It just tickles me pink. I just love it. Yeah.
Great choice. I get that. And I love James Taylor as well, actually. Both, I think. I think that's the answer, both of those. Thank you, Paul.
Oh, man. Yeah. All the best.
Well, thank you very much, and bye for now. Thanks again, Paul.
Pleasure. Cheerio.
Well,
Bye.
celebrity
Bye.
chef Paul Rankin, thanks so much for joining us, Paul. Now, I'm not going to cheat you. I'm going to get both of your requests on, as promised. Bit of James Taylor next. Oh, beautiful. Cornwall Club on Coast FM. Welcome back. Still in the studio here for you. Next up then, I think, you know what? Shall we introduce to the show the fantastic Dr. Bodalia? Now, Dr. Bodalia, frontline NHS doctor, as well as a DJ, pretty epic guy, to be honest. He's just dropped a new track as well, you know, with his DJ hat on this time. Well, I suppose with his producer hat, really. And as I was saying at the beginning of the show, he's actually just announced that he's off on tour with Fatboy Slim. So that was just awesome, really awesome. Dr. Bodalia is going to be talking a bit about the coronavirus booster jab now. He's going to be giving some of the reasons why he's encouraging younger people to go ahead and get their booster jabs. And of course, if you ever have any medical questions, it is really important that you direct those to your healthcare professional, be it your GP or the NHS 111 number. And of course, in the event of an emergency, always call 999. That's my little spiel done for now. Let's get on with it. Dr. Bodalia, welcome to the show.
Hi, my name is Dr. Kishan Bodalia. I'm a frontline NHS doctor working in A&E, and today I'm telling you about why young people between the ages of 18 and 35 should get their jabs.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show with us. I guess first of all, because I've just actually got the stats in front of me here, and I can see straight away, actually, it looks like the uptake is a bit lower in this age group, isn't it?
That's right. So, across all eligible adults, 79% of them have had their boosters, but only 54% of those between 18 and 34 who are eligible have had theirs, which is incredibly low. That's just over half. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to encourage them to get theirs.
And as a doctor yourself, working on the front line and seeing, unfortunately, patients coming in and needing help in hospital because of COVID-19, I can imagine this is a bit of a sad thing for you to see. Of course, it's always sad to see any patients coming in, but I can imagine it kind of hits a special nerve if you think that actually some of this could be preventable.
Exactly. I think prevention is better than cure. At the moment, we're seeing more unvaccinated patients coming in, and that's why I'm really keen to get behind this campaign, because it's something I'm experiencing myself in A&E. At the start of the pandemic, it was mostly elderly patients who we were seeing, those who are more vulnerable. But as time has gone on, and as more of the older patients and vulnerable patients have been vaccinated, the younger ones who have not are the ones that we're seeing more of. So, yeah, it's one of the factors within our control. So we've got to optimise this.
Yeah, I guess in a way it's a shame that the kind of general public doesn't get to kind of see that, the difficulty of behind the kind of front line, if it were, where these kind of doctors such as yourself are working and seeing this for real. So it's kind of, I can imagine it's quite tempting for a younger person to think, oh, it's fine, I'll be all right if I catch it. It doesn't particularly matter. But that's because they're not seeing, the people who are actually going through that on the other end, are they?
Exactly. A lot of us know people who are young who have caught COVID, who have been okay, but that's not good enough for us as NHS staff. Just one person who comes in who's not been vaccinated, who falls very unwell. That's a person there, and it's us who are seeing it. So I just want to encourage anyone who hears this to know that even if you're young and you're fit and healthy, that doesn't mean that you're automatically protected against the virus. Even if you've had COVID yourself, we can't be sure that you've got the antibodies to protect you. The best way to protect yourself and for us to enjoy those good times again is to get both your jabs plus your booster.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Bodalia. And is this something that, I'm just thinking about the kind of logistics, for young people to go ahead and get booked in. Do they do that through the website, or how would they kind of do that?
Yeah, best way to do this is to visit nhs.uk/COVID vaccination. All the details are on there. It's very easy to book in.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Bodalia. Have you been recently back in the DJ booth at all recently? Because I know you've done a fantastic job of the NHS sessions. They've been awesome, so congrats for that.
Thank you. Yes, since building my online profile with NH Sessions and doing this DJ sets for my scrubs, last year I was on tour with Fatboy Slim on a couple of dates, and just a couple of weeks ago on New Year's Day, I did a broadcast to 500 million viewers worldwide for London's New Year's Day parade, and I was opening that show. It was an amazing opportunity, have more gigs lined up over the coming months.
I think even Matt Hancock got in touch with you, didn't he, to say that he loved the set.
Yeah, to be honest, I was actually that day I got an email with a video attached of Matt Hancock showing his support. I was a bit sleepy because I was about to go on a night shift. I couldn't quite believe it. It didn't quite hit me until a few days later when I was off my shifts and actually properly awake. But yeah, it was amazing to have the support from people like Matt Hancock and those working in the government, seeing that what I'm doing, building a platform, can be used for campaigns like this.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think as well, what it will hopefully do is just show kind of, the people out there that, people like yourself, are real, you're real people. You're working behind the lines to keep people safe, to keep people healthy, and actually we can do our bit, can't we, by just going along to get the vaccinations and kind of help ourselves, but also help the doctors like yourself get through it all together, really, isn't it?
I agree. And one of the issues we're facing right now in hospitals is that NHS staff are going off sick, or they're testing positive because they've actually got the virus or they're suspecting it. So that puts a little bit more strain on the service. And this is going to be an ongoing issue over the coming months and even years. So the way to sort of offload the strain off the NHS and protect yourself is to get the vaccine.
Yeah, well, thank you, Dr. Bodalia. A couple of final questions for yourself, if that's all right with you. But I was thinking, to go alongside your appearance, could we perhaps play your single, Calling for You? What are you thinking?
That would be absolutely amazing. I'd love for you to do that.
Oh, sweet. Well, I'll get it straight on, because I just thought, you know what? I usually ask guests for a song request and put them on the spot, but I thought, well, there's an obvious thing here, isn't there? I mean, unless, of course, there's another song request we can put on as well, but I don't know what you're thinking.
Well, I would love it if you would play my brand new single. It's Calling for You. I actually recently signed a record deal with a leading independent dance record label, and this song has been added to one of the biggest playlists on Spotify with 1.2 million followers. And yeah, it's starting to get some amazing radio support. So yeah, I'd love it if you would play it as well.
Oh, well, thank you very much indeed, Dr. Bodalia. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. I'll just double check that, I suppose that you're all happy. If you want to reiterate anything or, point listeners in the direction of any kind of other information or anything like that, you're very welcome to do that at this point. Just double checking with you, really, that you're all happy.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I'd just like to, once again, just encourage young people, everyone actually, but concentrating on young people right now between the ages of 18 and 34 to go ahead and get your boosters. It's the best way for us to get out of this pandemic, to protect yourselves and everyone around us. It's all of our individual responsibilities to do that. So yeah, book in online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination.
Oh, Dr. Bodalia, well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'll let you go in that case. And I just want to thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Cornwall Club on Coast FM. Well, a massive thank you to Dr. Bodalia for coming on the show just now. Check out his Twitter feed if you want to, find out more about his tunes and about his work as a doctor as well, of course. And you can find him at Bodalia DJ. Now, talking about medical doctors, we've got another medical doctor, the fantastic Dr. Sarah Jarvis, media superstar, needs no introduction. She's been on a couple of our past shows, so pleased to have her back. Sarah, thank you very much indeed for coming back. I'm always delighted when we have returning guests, because it means that they're happy to come back, which is just quite remarkable, really, isn't it? I can't quite believe it. Anyway, Dr. Jarvis, you're always very welcome, and I do hope you can join us again in the very near future. Now, today, Dr. Jarvis is talking about the mental health support that's available through the NHS to anybody, and this includes a self-referral service for talking therapies. Now, you can find out much more about this. You can visit nhs.uk/help. That will take you to this landing page with information about all of this. And just a couple of important announcements to make at this point. If you or a loved one are having a mental health crisis, you can call a local NHS mental health helpline for 24-hour advice and support. You can find out all the contact details on that website that I've just mentioned. And of course, as always, if someone's life is at risk or they cannot be kept safe, you must call 999 or go to A&E. And this campaign by the NHS is actually accompanied by a video that features some superstars like Craig David. Enough from me, though. Let's hear from Dr. Sarah Jarvis herself. Thanks very much for joining us again, Dr. Jarvis. Absolute pleasure to have you with us again on the show.
Absolute pleasure to be with you.
I can see today, actually, it looks like we've got some really brilliant mental health support that is available to people. So really, really keen just to hear you kind of explain a little bit about this campaign to start with, if that's okay, Dr. Jarvis.
This is all about explaining that feelings of anxiety, of depression, other mental illness issues can affect all of us. But if you do need help with your mental health, the NHS is there for you. They've got free, effective, confidential ways to treat common mental health issues. And you can go through your GP practice, or you can refer yourself. 2 in 5 people had no idea that you can just go to nhs.uk/help and find out more about so-called talking therapies, IAPT, improving access to psychological therapies, and indeed refer yourself to get help to get your feet back on the ground.
Yeah, fantastic. And for people who maybe haven't even heard about these talking therapies before, I wonder if you could tell us a bit about what it kind of means and what's kind of involved in this kind of therapy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a GP for 31 years, and during that time, I have lost count of the number of people that I've referred. I have a lot of people who tease me that there is no, certainly long-term condition for which I cannot recommend talking therapies. Talking therapies are all about helping you to deal with the issues that you have. And that means there is no one size fits all. Perhaps the one we know most about is CBT, or so-called cognitive behavioral therapy. And what that is aimed at doing is to help you to recognize that your feelings and your thoughts are inextricably linked. And that if you are having negative thoughts, if you are constantly ruminating, if you're having anxious thoughts, then that they may well not be realistic. They are often caused by your feeling. So firstly, we aim to help you to recognize the relationship between your thoughts and your feelings. Secondly, we aim to help you to recognize, therefore, that those thoughts may not be realistic. So to challenge those, what we call negative automatic thoughts, because it's often not individual thoughts, you'll often get into a spiral. You know, you'll see somebody, if you're feeling low, you see somebody, they walk past you in the street, and your immediate thought might be, if you are feeling low, oh, they didn't want to talk to me. And the next thought that might come from that is, maybe they don't want to talk to me because I've done something bad. And the next thought that comes from that might be, maybe I'm a bad person. And it's extraordinary how often I, as a GP, see people, when you talk to them about what's going on, that they will recognize that that sort of train of thought goes on in their heads all the time. So what we're trying to do is to help people to recognize the connection between thoughts and feelings, to challenge those thoughts that are not realistic, and then to replace them with more realistic thoughts. Now there are, as I say, lots of other forms of therapy, but that and other forms of therapy don't necessarily always need to be traditional face-to-face, one-to-one therapy. It could be group therapy. It could be face-to-face therapy. But for instance, since July 2020, almost 95% of these free, confidential and effective services offered by the NHS were conducted remotely, either through a digital platform or over the phone. So it could be a phone consultation. It could be an online course, which from my experience with patients can be really, really effective, especially for people who, for instance, are more tech savvy, for people who are time poor, for people who perhaps don't want anybody else to know that they are taking time out to, for instance, go and physically see a counsellor. But it could also be a self-help workbook with therapist support. So lots of ways of personalising it. And when you have your assessment, you and the person from the service who is doing the assessment can work with you. Between you, you can work out what therapy would be best for you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Jarvis. Yeah, I mean, that sounds absolutely fantastic, really. I mean, it sounds like there's kind of options there for everyone, really. I mean, you know, if there's someone out there, for example, who just wants that kind of online, sort of over the phone, you know, consultations, you can do that. It all sounds brilliant. And I wonder if, because it kind of sounded to me like where you're kind of explaining how that kind of negative thinking, it sounds very much like this kind of downward spiral that kind of, you know, sends people down. And presumably, I mean, at what point do you kind of want patients to, you know, recognise that? I mean, I guess a lot of the time patients, I'm assuming here, that they'll come to you, you know, kind of when they're already in crisis mode. I mean, is it a good thing to try and recognise that early, I'm assuming?
Well, an awful lot of people have struggled. We know that over half the population were concerned about their mental health last year. Half the population experienced stress and anxiety. Almost as many experienced low mood or depression, and 1 in 4 had a fear of social situations. But interestingly, the majority of those who were struggling didn't seek any professional help for their mental health, and 2 in 5 people don't know that you can refer without going through your GP practice for a referral. So my feeling is, yes, absolutely, you do not need a formal diagnosis in order to get a referral, in order to be assessed by the NHS services. You can refer yourself through nhs.uk/help. You can have an assessment. Nobody is going to be embarrassed. Nobody is going to laugh at you. This is what we do as healthcare professionals. Anything you can tell me, I will have heard before. And I absolutely will recognise that if you are struggling with your life, if the symptoms, the feelings that you are having are making it harder for you to live on a day-to-day basis, that you do need help. And you, as I say, and the person from the IAP service, the Improving Access to Psychological Therapy service, the mental health service, who contacts you, does an assessment, you and they between you can work out what would work best for you. And depending on the level, the degree, the severity of your symptoms, that might vary.
Yeah, well, thank you, Dr. Jarvis. That sounds absolutely fantastic. I was wondering, kind of, I guess, very much related to this campaign. And obviously, I don't know, how much you can kind of chat about this as well. But I've noticed recently the NHS has been really kind of pressing that now. Of course, these services are available for everybody, but it seems to be the case that they're really trying to change the kind of stigma that has traditionally kind of existed for men, mental health in men, especially. I've noticed there's kind of a lot of push there by the NHS.
We know that anybody can have issues with their mental health. The fact that this campaign features really iconic, familiar faces, Craig David, Tom Grennan, Laura Mvula, Nicola Roberts, Ella Henderson, Max George, they have all been affected personally by mental health issues. So we do need to remember that they can affect anybody. But there are certain groups who either are disproportionately affected or who are less likely to come forward to use services. And they do, as you so rightly say, include men, but also the over 65s, people from ethnic minorities, and people from vulnerable groups. That is not to say that other people have not been affected. We know, for instance, that young people, their mental health has been really adversely affected during the pandemic. But we are very much trying to point out that those other groups, men over 65s, people from ethnic minorities, people from vulnerable groups, may be either disproportionately affected, but they may also be less likely to come forward to use services.
Well, Dr. Jarvis, thanks for that. That's fantastic. I wonder if we could just head towards, because obviously I'm aware of your time, you don't want to keep for too long. I wonder if we could kind of head towards closing just by, I guess, reminding listeners about, I guess, who's eligible and also how you would go about kind of booking yourself on, self-referring yourself through the website and things. I wonder if we could just kind of remind our listeners about that, if that's all right.
Yeah. So this self-referral is available to anybody over the age of 18. Some services offer treatment for young people aged 16 to 17, but you'd need to check with the individual services. So you could, however, at any age, contact your GP practice. Otherwise, anybody can access services. You don't need a formal diagnosis. You don't need to be able to take lots of time out to go and see somebody one-to-one. You can either contact your GP practice or you can refer yourself online at nhs.uk/help for free, effective and confidential ways to treat common mental health issues, which could be one-to-one counselling, could be group, could be over the phone, could be online, or it could be self-help workbook with therapist support. There is an option available for you because feelings of anxiety, depression, other mental health issues can affect all of us.
Oh, Dr. Jarvis, thank you very much. It's been fantastic to have you. And I wonder if, just as a very small farewell, I am going to ask the usual question at this point, which is, of course, song request, if you would like one now, because this campaign got me thinking. It's featuring people like Craig David and things, and based around the Beatles song Help. So I'm just thinking there's probably a lot of inspiration here. So can I get you a song today, Dr. Jarvis?
Well, I think an awful lot of my patients feel that they have been running on empty for some considerable time. So perhaps Running on Empty by Jackson Browne would be a great next song.
Perfect. What a fitting song. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jarvis. It's been a pleasure having you. I do hope you can join us again soon, but thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, folks, I don't know how it happened, but we have come to the end of another Wednesday night show, another Cornwall Club here on Coast FM. I've been Ben, I still am Ben, and I will be Ben for the foreseeable, I imagine. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for joining me. I hope you can join me again next Wednesday. Just a massive thank you to my very special guest this week. Thanks to Dr. Bodalia, and don't forget to check out his single. I played it on the show, but you can find out all of his, all of his news really. Go on Twitter at Bodalia DJ. Do it. Thank you very much to celebrity chef Paul Rankin. Really enjoyed having you on the show. Do hope we could get you again on a future show, Paul. And thank you very much to Dr. Jarvis, who we heard from just now, returning guest. So thanks so much to Dr. Sarah Jarvis, and do hope that you can return very soon indeed. That's it from me. Thank you very much for joining me. If in the meantime you just suddenly remember, oh Ben, I really need you to play a song, do not fret, I will do it for you. Just pop me an email at cornwallclubradio@gmail.com. Right, I'll leave you with a little cheeky something. But that's a goodbye from me. Bye now. Bye.